is the...
There it is. Okay.
Close that, invite people.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Hold on. Hold on, let me see if I can close it. Well, I hit the button, but I don't think we're live.
It says end live video right there. So
End live video?
there's an end live video button, so I believe we are.
I believe
we're live.
we're not.
Okay. What do you want me to do here?
No, we are. End live video. Yeah, we're live. We don't know what we're doing, folks. Is your screen normal?
Yes, but I just
Facebook is fighting us all the way, folks.
and I had a tick crawling on me, which is now in my fingers. And I
Well,
I don't know what to do with it. Isn't that just the way?
take your...
Hey, Stephen is
Hey,
here.
Steve.
And Pat here. Mother passed
Hello.
away about
Oh,
2 weekends
I'm
ago. I'm
so sorry to hear that.
Pat says I can hear you.
Good. I'm sorry to hear about your mom.
Yes. Me too.
You'll go ahead and
I have to dispose
disconnect
of this creature,
and dispose of that.
nasty creature.
Yeah, go
Okay.
do that, and I'll just talk.
Yeah. I'm sorry, folks. But
Yeah, we were still having trouble going live, but
we got that fixed.
we've managed to do that. So we are going to actually
I'll be back.
begin here. This is our belated 6th birthday celebration. We were going to do this 2 weeks ago, but they changed the interface to go live, and it did not like my screen reader, and I could not get it to work. And what you do when you have a problem like that is ask a kid, and that's what I did. My daughter came over and we worked on it for a long time and got it working. Repeated it several times, as any good computer person would, to make sure that everything's cool. Get in here this afternoon and it wouldn't work. So we kept working on it, and we did finally get it. We are a little late, but we're here, which to us is just tremendous. This is our 6th birthday celebration. 6 years ago, actually on the 3rd of March, we went live for the first time. And we told this story before, but I think it's appropriate to tell it here. I had pretty much quit playing the Autoharp, and then on the Sunday after Thanksgiving in 2017, Lin came and got me and said, "Yeah, I want you to hear this. I think you'll like it." And it was a friend of hers playing his guitar and singing and reading comments. He had an iPhone set on a little stand, and I listened to it, and the more I listened to it, the more excited I got. And I said, "Lin, we could do this. We could get some gear together, and we could do this with the Autoharp, and you could read the comments, and it'll be fun for a little while. We'd do a few of them and see what happens." And it took us a long time to get the equipment and technology together to stream an Autoharp. It was easy to stream a guitar, but it wasn't real easy to stream an Autoharp.
Now, I don't know if I'm okay or not with this setup, so if I sound good, let me know. Hopefully, I can't get this stuff to work for myself.
Well,
For me.
I don't know. Say something.
Alrighty, how does that sound?
Your volume is low. I'll fix it with the mixer. Just
Okay.
all right. Now say something.
All right, how's that?
I don't know. It's just going to have to do.
Well, I can speak up.
Well, that would always help.
Yes.
But anyway,
Let's see if I can. Go ahead, George. I'm sorry. Now
we'll
put it
see.
closer to my mouth.
You're moving in and out. Okay. Anyway, it took us about 18 months to work out all of the technical issues. And our first broadcast was, or our first show, whatever, was on the 3rd of March in 2019. And we've been doing it pretty much ever since. So, what we're going to do is play a few of the songs that we played on that first show. And the first song we're going to start out with was written and recorded by Dick Feller, and it is the most played song on the show. We've played it 17 times. This will be the 18th time we've played it. It's called Uncle Hiram and the Homemade Beer. Well, I was just a boy at the time when this drinking Uncle Hiram of mine decided he'd make up a batch of homemade beer. Don't tell a soul, he said to me, that I've come across this recipe that says for pennies a day I can drink all year. So I searched the alleys behind the bars for empty jugs and mason jars, and he sneaked them down to his basement brewery. He measured out yeast and sugar and hops, and he said to me as we sealed the tops, for goodness sake, don't tell your Aunt Marie. She'd say, hey there, Hiram, what's going on down there? There's some peculiar odor coming up the basement stairs. Going back to your sewing, hon, I'm varnished in a chair. The time my Uncle Hiram made his famous homemade beer. Well, we let it sit for a month or so, and me and Uncle sneaked down below, figuring it was about time to give it a try. I was standing there at the foot of the stairs, and Uncle Hiram was checking the wares, and all of a sudden 2 bottles just flew sky high. Well, the jars went crash, and the lids went plunk, and Hiram dived behind the trunk as the beer began to spew out on the floor. Uncle yelled, don't mind me, save yourself. Fast as I could, I ran up the steps. Out of breath, I quickly closed the door. Aunt Marie said, what is it, dear? And I said, it's Uncle's homemade beer. It's blowing up and got Uncle trapped down there. She said, beer, beer, I declare. Hiram, you come up out of there. But the sound of exploding beer was all we could hear. Hey there, Hiram, what's going on down there? There's some peculiar odor coming up the basement stairs. Going back to your sewing, hon, I'm varnished in a chair. The time my Uncle Hiram made his famous homemade beer. It sounded like a war for a day and a night. Them bottles just blew up left and right, till finally we just heard one here and there. Aunt Marie took a comforter and holding it up in the front of her with me behind, we went on down the stairs. Well, the place was a mess, to say the least. The walls were sticky and it smelled like yeast, and the glass and the lids and the beer were all around. It had been quite a battle, there weren't no doubt, but when we commenced to looking about, Uncle Hiram was nowhere to be found. Auntie cried out, Hiram, oh poor dear, he's been killed by a jar of beer. I warned him a drink, but he never listens to me. Then up popped the lid on the antique trunk, and there, soaked in beer, blind, running drunk, was the late lamented love of Aunt Marie. And he said, rather than see it all go to waste, I figured I might as well give it a little taste. I reckon I've tasted about 43 jars of beer. Y'all just go on, 'cause I'm staying right down here. Hey there, Hiram, what's going on down there? There's some peculiar odor coming up the basement stairs. Going back to your sewing, hon, I'm varnished in a chair. The time my Uncle Hiram made his famous homemade beer. Yes, indeed.
I have some comments here to catch
good.
up. Stephen originally said you're live, and then Pat talked about his mother having passed 2 weekends ago.
Yeah.
And he said, I can hear you, George, and then she is at peace, he says.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. And then don't worry about it. And wow, George, Pat said. And happy birthday, Ben here.
Hey, Ben.
Let's see. And then Lavanda.
Hello, Lavanda.
I'm here, but can't see or hear you. The only thing coming through is the comments. It has to be on my end. And she said, I will try and figure it out. Hope you have a great show.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
She can't hear us, so.
No, but Lonnie.
Lonnie. Hey,
is
Lonnie.
here, and he says, it sounds fine. And Stephen says, March 3rd, 2019 was a Sunday.
Yes, back then we did one show a month on the first Sunday of every month. When we first started out, that's what we did. Well, after a while, nobody was coming. And we thought, well, gee, I got tired of it already. I guess that was around show 10 or 11. And finally, Ziggy Harpdust, who had been watching us, came on and said, I'm sorry I couldn't be here, but Ivan Stiles is playing.
Right.
I didn't know who Ivan was. I didn't know him from Adam back then. We're now really good friends, of course, but I didn't know who he was, and I was a little miffed that he took my spot. But all of these people were going to listen to Ivan. And they said, I'm sorry, we love your show, but Ivan's playing.
Right.
So we decided that we would move our show to Saturday.
Yes.
And so we did that once a month for a while, and it got more and more popular, and people, said, gee, I have something going on the first Sunday of every month. A lot of the churchgoers and all, the first Sunday of the month was, special for them and so forth. So we decided, okay, we're going to play 2 Sundays a month. Or 2 Saturdays a month.
Yes.
Yeah,
Saturdays.
we said we're going to switch to Saturday, and we're going to play we're going to do 2 shows a month. And for a while, we actually just did every other Saturday. When we got the website set up for the CD and donations and all that, we realized that there was no good way to do that, so that's how it got to this stage where we do it on the 2nd and 4th Saturdays of every month. That way people know exactly when the Facebook gods, being in a good mood, that we'll be here. Okay. Let's see here. Here's one by Ray Stevens. Was written by Buddy Kalb. It's called Power Tools. Well, some folks say grown-up men are still just little boys, but really the only difference is the price of our toys. We go for macho symbols like guns and running shoes, pick up trucks, hunt ducks, and power tools, power tools. power tools. Yeah, just plug 'em in the wall and think of all you can do. You can plant a garden, fix your car, build a house if you want to, if you got the proper power tools. Hello? Emergency room? Yeah, I just fired up my new gas-powered weed whacker there, and somehow or another it got caught on the hammer loop of my big Smith overalls. Yeah, before I could get her shut down, she screwed me plumb 3 foot down the middle of the front lawn there. Yeah, my wife hollered out the front door, "Hey, Shorty, while you're down there, how about checking the fescue for aphids?" Ha! She's a real comedian, that woman. Hardy har har. Well, some folk say macho men use tools to compensate for a decline in virility. Well, I thought about that, but wait. There may be some validity in what those people say, but in my case, it's the only way I get to go outside and play. Oh, I love this stuff. Power tools. Power tools. Yeah, just plug 'em in the wall and think of all you can do. You can plant a garden, fix your car, build a house if you want to, if you got the proper power tools. Hello? 911? Yeah, I was just in the garden there trying out my new direct drive rototiller there when the rawhide lace from my red goose work shoes somehow got tangled up in that outboard tiller tine. Yeah, before I could get her shut down, she drug me clean across the lawn and up under my neighbor's Toyota 4x4. My wife hollered out the door and said, "Hey, Shorty." Funny how a name will stick with you like that. "Hey, Shorty, if you're gonna play Mr. Goodrich, looks like you'd fix our old jalopy first." I tell you, that woman's a regular Roseanne Barr. Well, 911 rescued me and carried me away to the local hospital for at least a 2-week stay. The doctor said, "I hope you've learned your lesson. Thanks to power tools, you're nearly dead." I didn't hear a word he was saying. I was playing with my power bed. Power tools. Power tools. Hello? Nurse's station? Could you send someone up to room 403 quick? Yeah, my power bed's stuck in the up position and I'm folded up in here like a big taco. Whoa, if you got the proper power tools.
Oh my. Libby's here.
Hello,
She
Libby.
said, "I have arrived." And Ricky is with us.
Wow, Ricky, how are ya?
She said, "Baking banana bread and hands were drenched in flour, so I couldn't comment until now. But I'm here." Hugs. Hugs right back at you.
Yeah, Lin
We're
been
glad to
baking
have you.
banana bread lately too.
Yeah, I don't put nuts in mine. That's
Well,
the only
no,
difference
because
there.
our son has diverticulitis and
Well, and not or osis.
or osis or
Unless
isis
it
or
becomes itis.
whatever.
The osis. Well, and
anyway.
I have a similar issue too. So neither one of us should eat a lot of nuts.
Anyway, Libby, Ricky, it's great to have you with us. I'm glad you found us. We were a little late, still having some problems with Facebook, but
Well,
we managed to stumble and stagger around and actually get it done.
you wrestled it down till it did what you wanted it to.
Yeah.
Is what
I don't know.
I don't know, man.
I even wrote out the instructions. We had after the last time we tried to do this failed so utterly. I had my daughter come over here because she's better at describing screen content than Lin is, because she's had to do it for me ever since she was a little kid. I paid her well. She was one of the richest kids in our neighborhood. I mean,
right.
But we got it done, and I did it over and over. I did it like 4 or 5 times, and it worked. And I turned it on today, and I did exactly the same thing because we wrote it out. Didn't work.
Didn't work. And you tried it several times and it didn't work.
Right. Then I rebooted everything and it worked. So I don't know.
We don't know.
Anyhow, here is a song. This is an old song. It was written by a guy named George Fairman in 1904. It's called The Preacher and the Bear. Well, the preacher, he went out walking. It was on a Sunday morn. Of course, it was against his religion, but he took his gun along. He shot himself some mighty fine quail and one little measly hare. And on his way, returning home, he met a grizzly bear. Well, the bear sat down in the middle of the road, as mean as he could be. The preacher, he commenced to shake it, climbed up a simmon tree. The bear stood up and rolled his eyes and shook his ugly head. The preacher looked up to the sky, and these are the words that he said. Yes, these are the words that he said. He said, Lord, you delivered Daniel from the lion's den, delivered Jonah from the belly of the whale, and then the Hebrew children from the fiery furnace. So the good book do declare. Oh Lord, Lord, if you can't help me, for goodness sake, don't you help that bear. Oh Lord, Lord, if you can't help me, for goodness sake, don't you help that bear. The bear commenced to climb the tree, and that made the preacher sore. The preacher, he climbed still higher, till he could not climb no more. Just about then a big limb gave way, and they both come a-tumbling down. And when that preacher began to pray, well, you could hear it for miles around. Yeah, you could hear it for miles all around. He prayed, Lord, you delivered Daniel from the lion's den, delivered Jonah from the belly of the whale, and then the Hebrew children from the fiery furnace. So the good book do declare. Oh Lord, Lord, if you can't help me, for goodness sake, don't you help that bear. Oh Lord, Lord, if you can't help me, for goodness sake, don't you help that bear. They fought all the way down to the river, and it was a terrible sight. The bear was really laying it on, but the preacher, he was doing all right. He dragged that beast down to the water. It was 3 times in and out. The bear got loose and he limped away, and the preacher, he began to shout. He yelled, Lord, you delivered Daniel from the lion's den, delivered Jonah from the belly of the whale, amen. Now, Lord, it may not seem like much from where you sit up there, but the hardest job that I ever done was baptizing that bear. Yeah, the hardest job that I ever done was baptizing that bear. Lord, you delivered Daniel from the lion's den, delivered Jonah from the belly of the whale, and then the Hebrew children from the fiery furnace. So the good book do declare. Oh Lord, Lord, if you can't help me, for goodness sake, don't you help that bear. Oh Lord, Lord, if you can't help me, for goodness sake, don't you help that bear. And that's the story of the preacher and the bear.
Yeah.
That'll teach you to go hunting on a Sunday.
There you go.
Lord just had to give you a little correction there, and anyway.
Little excitement.
That's right. Speaking of excitement, here's a song that was recorded by a couple of guys who bill themselves as Lardo and Burley, the Moron Brothers.
Oh, dear.
These guys are funny. One of them, at least, and I think maybe both of them, were ex-Louisville firefighters, and they took this up when they retired. This is called "The Night That Paul Got Hung in That Electric Fence." We were born and raised way back in the sticks. Everybody used to call us Hicks. We had a 20-acre holler that was nestled between two hills. We raised hogs, chickens, cows, and a mule. We might have been hillbillies, but we weren't no fools. We had plenty to eat. Raised it all ourselves. Now the biggest problem that we ever had was a mule named Rodney. Kept everybody mad. No matter how hard we tried, we couldn't keep him fenced in. He'd get in the garden and Ma's flower bed. Pa'd cuss and scratch his old gray head, settle his nerves with a drink, and patch a fence again. Me and my brother bought an electric fence, battery and all. Put it up one night, gonna surprise her, Pa. Had to keep the mule in so Pa wouldn't get so tense. Pa got up that night, he was moving kinda quick, headed for the outhouse. The fog was thick, he must have lost his way, he got hung in that electric fence. Yeah, he must have went through a spiritual change, he don't look the same anymore. He works hard every day, goes to church every Sunday, no more loafing at the country store. Treats us all different, even quit chewing tobacco, ain't cussed or drank ever since the night that Pa got hung in that electric fence. We heard Pa scream. He said, "Come quick, sons. The Martians have got me. They're zapping me with their guns." It wasn't hard to find. There's sparks flying everywhere. He said, "Stand back, boys. I ain't a-joking." His body was jerking, and his long johns were smoking. Hair stood straight up. He must have been really scared. We was trying to tell Pa what we'd done when we saw Ma coming with her old shotgun. She said, "Step aside, boys. Ain't no Martian gonna get my man." When the mule run out of the barn with a bucket on his head, Ma let go both barrels and filled him with lead. She thought he was a Martian. We couldn't make her understand. Yeah, he must have went through a spiritual change. He don't look the same anymore. He works hard every day, goes to church every Sunday. No more loafing at the country store. Treats us all different, even quit chewing tobacco. Ain't cussed or drank ever since the night that Pa got hung in that electric fence. We got Pa out when the battery went dead. He was stiff as a board when we got him in bed. Me and my brother got scared and snuck that fence back to the store. They still swear up and down that the Martians were there, and they ain't been able to do nothing with Pa's hair. And they can't figure out why the mule won't eat out of a bucket anymore. Yeah. Okay.
Libby said, "Sounding mighty fine."
Thanks, Libby.
Thank you. He does. I love that song.
Yeah, well, this is another Ray Stevens tune, and it was written by a guy named Cyrus Buddy Kalb, who wrote a lot of Ray's stuff. I thought he wrote a lot of it himself, but it turns out that he really didn't write that much of it. This guy wrote a lot of his stuff. And this is one of the funniest. Ray's funny anyway, but this is one of his funniest songs and one of my all-time favorites. It's called The Mississippi Squirrel Revival. Well, when I was a kid, I'd take a trip every summer down to Mississippi to visit my granny in her antebellum world. I'd run barefooted all day long, climb trees, freeze a song. One day, I happened to catch myself a squirrel. I stuffed him down in an old shoebox, punched a couple holes in the top, and when Sunday came, I snuck him into church. I was sitting right back in the very last pew, showing him off to my good buddy Hugh when that squirrel got loose and went totally berserk. Well, what happened next is hard to tell. Some thought it was heaven, some thought it was hell, but the fact that something was among us was plain to see. As the choir sang I Surrender All, the squirrel ran up Harv Newland's coverall. Harv leaped to his feet and said, "Something's got a hold on me." The day the squirrel went berserk in the first self-righteous church in that sleepy little town of Pascagoula. It was a fight for survival that broke out in revival. They were jumping pews and shouting hallelujah. Well, Harv hit the aisles dancing and screaming. Some thought he had religion and others thought he had a demon, and Harv thought he had a weed eater loose in his Fruit of the Looms. He fell to his knees to plead and beg, and the squirrel ran out of his breeches leg unobserved to the other side of the room. All the way down to the Amen pew where sat Sister Bertha Better Than You, who'd been watching all the commotion with sadistic glee. But you should have seen the look in her eyes when that squirrel jumped her garters and crossed her thighs. She jumped to her feet and said, "Lord, have mercy on me." As the squirrel made laps inside her dress, she began to cry and then to confess to sins that would make a sailor blush with shame. She told of gossip and church dissension, but the thing that got the most attention was when she talked about her love life, and she started naming names. The day the squirrel went berserk in the first self-righteous church in that sleepy little town of Pascagoula. It was a fight for survival that broke out in revival. They were jumping pews and shouting hallelujah. Well, 7 deacons and then the pastor got saved. $25,000 got raised and 50 volunteered for the missions in the Congo on the spot. And even without an invitation, there are at least 500 rededications, and we all got rebaptized whether we needed it or not. Now, you've heard the Bible stories, I guess, of how he parted the waters for Moses to pass. All the miracles God has brought to this old world. But the one I'll remember to my dying day is how he put that church back on the narrow way with a half-crazed Mississippi squirrel. The day the squirrel went berserk in the first self-righteous church in that sleepy little town of Pascagoula. It was a fight for survival that broke out in revival. They were jumping pews and shouting hallelujah.
Ricky had said before you started, thought we were in for a rendition of Wildwood Weed. And then Lavonda came back. This is one of my favorites, too, so she must have gotten hers.
Oh, you must have got it. Yeah. Oh, I'm glad you were able to get back and actually hear us and see us and all.
And then Lois Conklin is here.
Hello, Lois.
She said, just checked my phone and you two popped up. Fun.
Yeah, glad to have
missing
you.
you last few times. Fun squirrel song. We were missing.
We were missing the last time. We were supposed to be on 2 weeks ago. We didn't make it, but yeah, we've missed you, Lois. I'm glad you could find some time to stop by and spend a little time with us this afternoon. That's great. What the heck?
There you go.
This stuff grew wild in our yard back home, but we never give it much thought. We guessed his weeds or some kind of flowers. We didn't know what it was called. Then one day I was standing there talking, reached down for a weed to chew on. Things got fuzzy, then they got blurred, then everybody was gone. When I come to, my brother was there, and he asked me what was wrong with my eyes. Told him it's glassy from chewing them weeds. Figured he'd give it a try. Spent the rest of the day and all that night just looking for my brother Bill. Then we seen him sitting there singing on top of the windmill. Next day we picked a big bunch of them weeds, put them in the sun to dry. Then we cleaned them, mashed them up, smoked them in a corncob pie. We noticed some missing from the yard one day, and knew somebody'd been in our crop. For a man who never smiles at all, Paul was short, giggling a lot. Well, it wasn't long till the word got round. People was coming from miles. They always got there scrapping and quarreling, but when they left, there's all smiles. It is real easy to find our place. All you have to do is follow the smoke for 50 miles. Any direction never met such friendly, happy folk. Of course, all good things gotta come to an end. It is the same with our weeds. Some guy from Washington dropped by one day. He turned white as a sheep. Well, he burned and he dug and he dug. Well, he burned and he dug and he dug and he burned and he killed all our cute little weeds. Drove away, we just smiled and waved, sitting there on that sack of seeds.
Yeah. There you go.
I haven't played that forever. It was a little rusty, but...
No, you did great. Wouldn't have known you hadn't played it for a while.
Okay, so a bonus song just for you, Ricky.
Yeah.
Here's another one.
Ricky said, "Thank you for that."
You're
smiley
welcome.
Face and a heart.
You're welcome. Haven't played that in a long time.
It's fun. I mean, that's a good one.
Let's see here. Here's a song that was written by Dick Feller. I don't know if he recorded it or not. I learned it from a recording by Roger Miller. It's called "The Day I Jumped from Uncle Harvey's Plane." Well, me and Oliver and Virgil were in the drugstore killing time when my eyes fell upon this magazine. I got to reading this article about skydiving and parachutes, and it said jumping out of airplanes is the thing. Now, being raised down on a farm and always ready for adventure, I knew that I could figure out a way. I said, well, Del McGill's got a parachute. Uncle Harvey's got an airplane. So I said, call the boys together. Today's the day. Well, I found out too late that what Uncle Harvey called an airplane was nothing but an engine and a wing. And I could feel my fear arising as Delmer packed the parachute, 'cause he kept telling me I was doing the right thing. Ron McLaughlin shook my hand as J.D. strapped me in that harness, and Tilden brought a jug and passed it around. I took one look at that parachute and that whiskey in that airplane, and I turned that bottle up and drank it down. Well, I was drunker than Cooter Jones when they poured me in that plane. The engine coughed and headed for the clouds. But I was sober as a judge when Harvey opened up the door, and I've never known my heart to beat so loud. I said, "Harvey, I can't do it," as he kicked me out the door, and I wrapped my hands around the landing gear. And I was holding on real good till Harvey stepped upon my fingers, and Virgil heard me scream from way down there. Well, I thanked God and Delmer Gill when my parachute finally opened. I said, "Hell, there ain't no use in being afraid." And I went crashing through the hen house, scattering chickens and breaking eggs, and I kissed the ground and fainted dead away. Well, now, friends, I've fought some battles, and I've been shot at once or twice, and I've darn near been run over by a train. But I can't remember ever being any more afraid than the day I jumped from Uncle Harvey's plane. Crazy fool. Yeah, he reminds me of me.
Yeah.
I used to be an adrenaline junkie like that.
Yeah.
I often said in our early days, if I hadn't fell in love with, and married Lin, I would have either been dead or in jail before I was 30. I mean, I just didn't know the meaning
We had
of
adventure. Anyway. It's like
Yeah, well.
so I didn't keep you too tame.
Oh, you don't know. You weren't there.
Well.
Anyhow.
Seemed like adventure to me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it would to you. You did what?
The scuba diving, that was not something I probably would
I'll tell you what.
have gone along with.
If me and my friends didn't do it, it was because either we hadn't thought of it or we couldn't figure out a way to do it without getting caught. You know?
Yeah.
So, here's another one from the Moron Brothers. It's called Hoss Walker, the Biggest Liar in Our Town. In our town there lived a feller, Hoss Walker was his name. Telling lies was his trademark, it brought him world acclaim. He'd climb a tree to tell a lie, when the truth he could tell on the ground. Some folks said the truth wasn't in him, he was known for miles around. I remember one evening we was sitting on the porch and old Hoss came a-riding by. Pa said, "Hoss, come and set a spell and tell us a big old lie." He said, "Folks, I really wish I could, but I've got to be heading on. Pa passed away this afternoon and I've got to get back home." Well, it came as quite a shock to us. His pa was our best friend. We started telling all the neighbors and notifying next of kin. We gathered up some cakes and pies and headed over to their place. We all met there on their front porch, tears running down her face. Well, we knocked on the door and walked on in, but much to our surprise, there sat his pa in his rocking chair right there before our eyes. Well, it gave us an eerie feeling, made the hair stand up on my head. One woman even dropped her cake, said, "Good Lord, he come back from the dead." Well, we told his pa why we were there and the things that Hoss had said. He said, "Boy, what in the world made you tell these good folks I was dead?" He said, "Pa, they wanted me to stop a while and tell them a big old lie. But I was in a hurry, so I told them you was dead, and I just rode on by." He said, "Folks, I'm sorry for the lie I told. You're some of our best friends. If you can find it in your heart to forgive me, I swear I'll never lie again." Well, he stood there looking so sincere with big tears in his eyes. Then he said, "I ain't eaten 3 or 4 weeks. How about a piece of that pie?" I remember one cold winter morn, we was all sitting around the store, talking about the Depression and things that happened during the war. Hoss walked in with a shotgun. He was grinning from ear to ear. We all started making jokes about the lie we was fixing to hear. He said, "Boys, I've been a-hunting. Y'all can believe it or not. I just killed 99 blackbirds, only fired 1 shot." We all got to laughing. I think it was old man Steve. Said, "Hoss, why don't you just say it was 100? It wouldn't be no harder to believe." He said, "No, it was only 99, and on that I'll give my word. Ain't no need saying it was 100 and lying over 1 blackbird." Said the other day I was on the river with my rifle I was a-hunting. Looked over yonder on the other side and hummingbirds was a-humming. So I took aim and fired that thing and a hummingbird fell dead. With a .22 rifle I killed enough hummingbirds to make 'em all feather bed. Now another tale he told one time how cold it got in his house. Froze the flame on a coal oil lantern and he couldn't even blow it out. So he broke it off and threw it in the yard, and right there's where it lay. But the chickens ate it, and when springtime come, they all started laying fried eggs. Another tale he told about the watermelons he growed. Seeds as big as silver dollars in the ground he sowed. Watermelons 4 foot long and some of them 3 foot round. But they growed so fast it wore the watermelons out, dragging them across the ground. Well, he started getting on up in age. He started growing old. He said, "I'm tired of this reputation from all of them lies I told. I think I'll go somewhere far away where nobody knows my name." He packed his bags and England bound. He boarded a big old plane. He got off that plane in England and said, "I'll start my life anew. I'll never tell another lie. From now on, it's nothing but the truth." 2 little boys was a-fighting there and calling each other names. One said, "You a bigger liar than Hoss Walker," and he got back on the plane. Well, I guess there's lots of other tales old Hoss might have left behind. Tales that'll live forever. He was a legend in his time. As long as people tell his tales, that legend will never die. And the name Hoss Walker will live forever, and brother, that ain't no lie.
That's just a good song. No lie.
That's no lie. That's right.
Wow.
Well, folks, if you haven't already done so, leave us a comment. Especially if you're new to the show here, we'd love to get to know you. We're just kind of sitting around in our virtual living room playing music. So if you're new to the show or whatever, if you have a request or a thought or whatever, leave us a comment, and Lynn will read it to me. Also, if you will follow Autoharp Down Home, if you'll follow this page, I send out invitations the Wednesday before each show, and that'll show up in your news feed. We get together on the second and fourth Saturdays of every month at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central, or approximately that, 11 o'clock Pacific, and 7 p.m. over on the across the pond there in England and Europe. So that's the deal on that. And give us a like, too, if you would. We'd appreciate that. Okay. Enough of that shameless self-promotion there. Okay. Here's another Ray Stevens song. Don't know who wrote this one. It's called Too Drunk to Fish. Now me and Harold, this buddy of mine, decided we'd go fishing one time, so we drove to the lake with my brand new bass boat. I brought the fishing poles, pork and beans, saltine crackers and the canned sardines, and Harold brought all the booze one man could tow. Well, I loaded the boat and filled the tank and tried to get that motor to crank. Harold just sat there sipping on a long neck beer. While I was steering the boat and tying the plugs, he was drinking moonshine straight from the jug, and he was singing Melancholy Baby when we left the pier. Whoa. Never go fishing with a man who has been drinking, 'cause things just might not work out like you wish. Just leave that fool at home to drink. He'll be just as happy fishing in the kitchen sink. Don't go near the water with a man too drunk to fish. Well, I was concentrating, perfecting my cast, hoping to land a trophy bass, and Harold was having trouble trying to find the lake. Laying there beside his feet was an anchor line coiled up real neat. Harold saw it, went wide as a ghost, and hollered, "Snake!" Well, he jumped straight up and began to yell. I said, "Sit down, Harold, and behave yourself. Can't you see that ain't nothing but a piece of rope?" Well, he was scared to death, plumb out of his mind, trying not to get bit by that anchor line, and he grabbed my shotgun and blew a hole in the bottom of the boat. Harold, never go fishing with a man who has been drinking, 'cause things just might not work out like you wish. Just leave that fool at home to drink. He'll be just as happy fishing in the kitchen sink. Don't go near the water with a man too drunk to fish. Now, too drunk to fish is too drunk to swim. I was dog paddling and dragging him, and finally made it to a little sandbar just big enough for two. It was way after dark when that helicopter came with that big searchlight and calling our names, and Harold looked up to the sky and said, "Lord, is that you?" And then he knelt there in that heavenly glow and said, "Lord, you know I ain't ready to go, so if you pass me by tonight, oh, I will reform." Then they threw down a raft and I paddled us home. He never touched a drop from that moment on. The Lord works in mysterious ways his miracles to perform. Never go fishing with a man who has been drinking, 'cause things just might not work out like you wish. Leave that fool at home to drink. He'll be just as happy fishing in a kitchen sink. Don't go near the water with a man too drunk to fish. No, don't go near the water with a man too drunk to fish. Yeah, you don't want to do that, folks.
You don't do that. Libby said, "Your music has been keeping me entertained while I cook."
Oh, wow.
Now I
Thank
wanna-
you.
Yes,
What you cooking?
that's what I wanted to
Hey, good looking. What you
you
got cooking?
cooking?
Oh, my. Now, this song is just plain weird. It was written and recorded by a guy named Cletus T. Judd. Well, he wrote it, and he and Buck Owens actually recorded it. And Cletus is mainly known for being kind of a modern-day Homer and Jethro type guy. He writes parodies to country songs. And this one isn't a parody. It's called First Redneck on the Internet. Well, Lordy mercy, I was in a mess. My wife run off with my TV set. Didn't bother me none that she had to go, except I was gonna miss all my TV shows. So I looked up to heaven, got down on my knees, then I cried, "Dear Lord, will you help me please? I need a TV by tomorrow night, 'cause Ric Flair's involved in a talent fight." Well, I guess my tithing must have paid off, 'cause early next morning should have seen what I saw. Reached in my pocket for my inhaler, 'cause there's a big brown box right in front of my trailer. I used my truck key to cut open the box. I was hoping for a Sony or a Magnavox. I looked at the name and thought, oh my gosh, this must be a new one called Macintosh. Well, my last TV was a whole lot wider, but this one here come with its own typewriter. It had all the letters from A to Z. I guess you just type in what you want to say. Well, I thought I'd punched up WWF, but that TV screen said World Wide Web. Then I broke out in a cold, cold sweat. I was the first redneck on the internet. He was the first redneck on the internet, a bona fide, countrified cyber threat. He went online just one time, and now they won't forget the first redneck on the internet. It was all so new I should have taken my time, but I slammed that mouse up four-wheel drive. The last time I did so much pointing and clicking, I had a .22 rifle shooting at chickens. Then all of a sudden it occurred to me the power I had with this fancy TV. I could get back at my ex-wife with the touch of a button. I could ruin her life. So I got the number off her MasterCard, bought a new lift kit, 4 new tires. Then I got online to her bank account, went ahead and closed that sucker out. I had her water and her power shut slap off. Then I sent an email to her dad blame boss, letting him know that she told me she'd have his job by the end of the way. He was the first redneck on the internet, a bona fide, countrified cyber threat. He went online just one time, and now they won't forget the first redneck on the internet. Now the moral of the story, as a matter of fact, in a couple of days I got my TV back. She said she'd like to come back as well. I told her to go straight to AOL. Now I thank the Lord and the UPS for dropping that box at my address. If you ever want to find me, it won't take long. Just type www.redneck.com. To reach the first redneck on the internet, a bona fide, countrified cyber threat. He went online just one time, and now they'll never forget, won't forget, the first redneck on the internet. He was the first redneck on the internet. The first redneck on the internet. World Wide Web. Population 4 zillion. Salute! Where are you tonight? Why did you leave me here all alone? I searched the world over and thought I found true love. You met another and you were gone. Okay.
Ricky commented before you started the internet one, I think, regarding the fish. One fishing, don't go fishing.
Yeah.
And said, had an old bike radio in hubby's boat, and I like to honk the horn on it or crank my favorite song when I got drunk. He would agree with you.
Yeah.
Something, I don't know, about boats. I don't know.
Yeah. Here is a song that is on our CD. The CD is called Forever Friends, and it's songs about dogs. Starts out with a song about getting a puppy and ends with a song about dogs crossing the Rainbow Bridge and a fantasy somebody had of them waiting up there for us to join them. I don't think my dogs are going to see me. I'm probably headed the other way, but you know, that would be an irony, wouldn't it? So this was written by Tom T. Hall, and the first time I heard it, I think Greg Everett played it at the Mountain Laurel Autoharp gathering one of the years that I attended it virtually. It's called I Want My Dog Back. I came home from work last night and this is what I found. My wife was gone, my dog was gone, there was no one around. She took the car, she took the dog, I don't know where she's at. I don't care where she went, I want my dog back. I want my dog back, he is faithful, he is true. I want my dog back, I don't know what I'll do. If he gets out, he'll come on home, he knows that I'll be blue. The only thing that worries me is she might come back too. I never understood that girl, but I sure love that pup. He knows where the bones are hid and he can dig 'em up. He sniffs out the neighborhood for a female he can track. He's smarter than she is, I want my dog back. I want my dog back, he is faithful, he is true. I want my dog back, I don't know what I'll do. If he gets out, he'll come on home, he knows that I'll be blue. The only thing that worries me is she might come back too. The thing that bothers me, what gets to me the worst, she don't care for my old dog, she just wants me to hurt. She can come and get the stuff she didn't think to pack. All I want from her, I want my dog back. Now if anybody sees my wife, tell her give me a call. I won't even raise my voice, I just want my dog is all. I'll make her an offer, there will be no questions asked. All I want from her, I want my dog back. I want my dog back. He is faithful, he is true. I want my dog back. I don't know what I'll do. If he gets out, he'll come on home. He knows that I'll be blue. The only thing that worries me is she might come back too. Yeah, the only thing that worries me is she might come back too.
My goodness. Hey, Bob is with us. Bob Hale.
Hey, Bob and Bren. How are ya?
Hello, George and Lynn. I am tuned in.
Good.
Good.
So glad to have you.
Yeah, have you with us here.
Always a pleasure to have you and Bren join us for these things. Remember, next week, for you, we're on an hour earlier because our time changes next week and yours doesn't until the end of the month. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. All right. Take you back to the Old West here for the next couple. Dab a loop on your favorite cow pony and get ready to ride, saddle pals.
There we go. Hey, Lonnie said, we lost our 21-year-old Chihuahua 2 days ago.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. She starred in a whole lot of YouTube videos.
Oh.
I'm sorry to hear that, Lonnie, but my goodness, that's ancient for a dog.
21 years?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Did I read that right? Is that... Wow.
That would be 147 human years.
Whoa. That's incredible.
Didn't you say we had some 147-year-olds collecting Social Security checks or something?
Maybe worse than that. I don't know.
Anyway. This was recorded by Jim Stafford, who was around for a little while, and then he kind of dropped back into obscurity. It's called Cow Patty. Not Cow Patty now. Cow Patty. From the Badlands came the killer. He lived by the knife and the gun. He'd cut you just for standing and shoot you if you tried to run. He was big as a tree and did as he pleased, and everything he did was bad. And they said if you was to kill him, it'd only make you mad. From the good lands came the cowgirl. Patty was her name. She was hot on the trail of that killer. On a moped she called Flame. 'Cause the killer had killed her daddy just for spitting in the road. You only had to kill her daddy once to get that gal P.O. Yippee-yi-yay, Cow Patty. Yippee-yi-yay, Cow Patty. She rode into town to find the man that killed her daddy. Yippee-yi-yay, Cow Patty. The killer hit town at daybreak, ate the door off the local saloon. He started to drink. You could tell he was thinking there'll be a showdown soon. Patty hit town in a cloud of dust. Old Flame was buzzing like a saw. The whole town got as quiet as a church when the killer stepped out for the draw. 40 shots rang out. 40 people fell. Patty and the killer missed each other, but they shot that town to hell. Yippee-yi-yay, Cow Patty. Yippee-yi-yay, cow Patty. She rode into town to find the man that killed her daddy. Yippee-yi-yay, cow Patty. The killer took a step toward Patty. Said, "It's time I gunned you down." But he slipped in something that was laying in the street and was shot before he hit the ground. Yes, the killer slipped, and it cost him his life. And Patty said as she roared out of town, "You gotta watch your step when you know the chips are down." Yippee-yi-yay, cow Patty. Yippee-yi-yay, cow Patty. She rode into town to find the man that killed her daddy. Yippee-yi-yay, cow Patty. On flame!
I always love that song. That's a good one.
I always blow the bridge. I just can't get it right. But that's okay. It's funny. That's the whole point.
Yes.
You're going to laugh at me anyway. You know, what the heck's the difference? All right. The second part of our ride into the Old West, or the New Old West, if you would rather. Here's a song about a man who is prepared to fight to prevent someone from taking a girl away from him that just means a lot to him. It's called Coming After Jenny. He'll be coming down the road at the break of day, with his hat thrown back and his guns tied low. He's coming after Jenny, wants to take her away, but I ain't gonna let her go. Oh, he boasted in town that she loved him. He said she'd be his with the sun. He said anyone try to stop him would be just one more notch on his gun. They say that he's headstrong and handsome. His hair's blowing wild and free, and they got a whole lot in common, 'cause he's a lot younger than me. But he'll be coming down the road at the break of day, with his hat thrown back and his guns tied low. He's coming after Jenny, wants to take her away, but I ain't gonna let her go. He hasn't had much education. He ain't worked a day in his life, and he's living with some older woman. And they say she's another man's wife, but she wants him and needs him and loves him. She buys him his clothes and his meals. When she finds he's gone, she'll be praying, Lord, know just how she feels, because he's coming down the road. It's the break of day. His hat's thrown back and his guns are tied low. He's coming after Jenny, wants to take her away, and I ain't gonna let her go. The sun's at his back and he's coming. A smile is curling his lip. His right hand is slowly descending 6-gun that rests on his hip. Then his lower lip started trembling, and he started crying as he looked up at me. And I picked him up, and I said, "Son, you're only 4 years old. You know, Jenny's only 3. So come on in the house and have some cookies and milk." And we did, and the tears turned to smiles. And I called up his mama, and I drove him home. And Jenny's safe for a little while.
Oh, that's another good one. Yes.
Okay, well, this song is the song that I am told by someone who should know won me the 2022 Mountain Laurel Autoharp Gathering Championship. It is the second most played song in our repertoire. It's called Foggy Mountain Breakdown. And with that, our 6th birthday celebration comes to an end. If you got an extra buck or two, you put it in our tip jar. We'd really appreciate it. Go to autoharpdownhome.com and click the donate link. That will take you to our PayPal account. And if you don't, we love you anyway. But, you know, we can have dessert once in a while if you send us some money. And if you haven't already done so, we'd like you to consider, if you have a means of playing them, to possibly pick up a copy of our Forever Friends CD.
I'm sorry, Ricky made me laugh. She said, "I've always loved to watch you play this because your fingers left trails." Or maybe it was the pot. LOL with a heart. I read that. I could not help laughing there. Go ahead.
Anyway.
I'm sorry.
And all of the money that we make on the CDs goes to Dogs Inc., the people who trained my great guide dog, Indy. And I'll close with this thought. Common sense is like deodorant. The people who need it most never use it. So long, folks. Well, now it's time to say goodbye to George and all his kin. We'd sure like to thank you folks for kindly dropping in. You're all invited back real soon to this locality to have a heaping helping of our hospitality. Down home style, that is. Set a spell. Take your shoes off. Y'all come back now here.